and welcome to NXT Talk, where we talk about all things NXT, whether it be NXT stateside, UK, or level up. We got you covered. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and as always, I'm joined by Matt.
Bonjour. How's everybody doing out there? We hope you're doing well. Boris, oh man, NXT was trying really hard to have a good show last night. There were some good things on the show, but boy, this Joe Gacy character, I feel like, has taken a rough turn. I think we had a jump the shark moment on NXT last night, buddy.
Yeah, 100%. I think we did. That's kind of what, it's kind of expected that in the middle of someone's tenure in NXT, their character is going to change. But here we go. This is what NXT 2.0 is all about. Trying new stuff, literally throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'm not sure if this one is gonna stick. Joe Gacy, now what is he? The Fiend taker, the Riddler taker?
Yeah,
he's got Druids.
Much.
He's got comic book powers. Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It's we'll get to it, especially when we talk about that last little segment of the night. But we have a lot of news to get to as well. We're going to be chatting some LA Knight. We're going to be chatting some Kushida. We're going to be chatting some Triple H. We're going to be chatting some Roxanne, formerly Roxy. But before all of that, Matt, how are you?
Well, thank you for asking, buddy. I'm doing pretty well. I got a couple days off work here, so today is a recharge the batteries day. Gonna do some laundry. I got a big old pile of dirty clothes here I got to work through. I just got some things to do around the house. Gonna just chill out. Tomorrow, try to go out, see the world a little bit. Perhaps talk to a human being, get a drink. But I'm just enjoying some nice spring weather in Toronto. It's been like weird and snowy and stuff. So today is kind of mild outside. It's all right. How are you doing, big homie?
I'm doing all right. The weather's been just absolutely crazy here. One day you don't need a jacket or barely a sweater. The next day you need a full-on winter parka again. It's just been so up and down throughout the past week. And anytime that happens, I typically get sick. So here I am. Haven't been sleeping the best. So, I'm kind of powering through as best I can. Work is keeping me super busy as well. I have some major demos, trips coming up. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good though. I can't really complain in the grand scheme of things.
Glad to hear that. Would you call yourself the demo god, Boris?
You know what? It's kind of funny because I already do at work.
I'm sure you do, buddy. That's amazing, though.
And it's funny because one person understands the joke, especially when they understand what I do on the side, right? So,
everyone else just thinks you are a crazy, arrogant asshole. No.
Oh, 100%. It's 100%. Yes. This company, it's not too bad because it's a small company, right? Everyone kind of already knows me. But I remember at BlackBerry, and at BlackBerry, we're talking I worked there, 7 years ago now, for about 8 years. So I was a cocky young piece of trash, right? So there was times I look back and I think back to some of the things I did, especially when I was project manager and product owner. I'm just like, oh man, so cringe. But that's kind of how you had to conduct yourself in a company like BlackBerry when, especially at that time, the hottest tech company. So when you hear stories sometimes about how about some of these wrestlers and their attitudes, I'm like, you know what? I can kind of understand.
Yeah, I've definitely made some absolutely idiotic mistakes in the past, professionally and otherwise, Boris. So I feel you there, buddy. We live and learn. You know what I mean? What's important is that you grow. You learn from these experiences. You don't have to be a brash baby bull, Boris, your whole life, right?
Yeah, you would think so, right? You would think so.
Well, ideally, yes.
Yeah, no. You know what? It's more I've kind of just I've always been a very chill person for the grand scheme of things, right? And it's now I just really don't care, and it's gotten to the point where I just really don't care what other people think of me or anything. So sometimes it's good. For the most part, it's good. But sometimes, it can lead to very interesting situations, and yeah. So whatever. But that's corporate life. That's all that fun stuff that we do on the side, as I like to say. But we have tons of wrestling stuff to get to. So Matt, do you want to get to it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's get into this NXT news break. We need a theme for this. We need like a little 5-second audio drop for when we do these. That's coming next time.
Exactly.
For now, it's an acoustic, unplugged news break.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? Like, I think over the next little bit, we're going to be getting more news out of NXT, especially as call-ups happen, interviews are happening. The closer we get to that 1-year anniversary of NXT 2.0, I can see more stuff coming out. So let's start with some LA Knight news. We haven't seen LA Knight on NXT 2.0 over the past few weeks. But, Matt, live crowds have seen him at SmackDown dark matches prior to last week's SmackDown, and it looks like he's going to be going the manager route.
Okay, so this gets into a bigger rant of mine, and let's just do it now, Boris. So the whole idea behind 2.0 is that it's going to be more of a direct pipeline. It's going to be more of what Vince McMahon wants, and the things that are happening in 2.0 are just going to translate to the main roster, right? Now, I know they're cleaning up some of Triple H's final decisions, but LA Knight, for example, goes up as a manager, not a wrestler. They're changing everybody's name. They changed Raquel Gonzalez's name. They changed Marcel Bartel's name. They changed Walter's name a couple weeks before he got called up, but it was because he was getting called up. So if they're just going to change everything and screw everyone's character up anyway, then it really never was NXT Black and Gold's fault to begin with, which is what we've been saying the whole time. But it's just like they're still making the same mistakes despite 2.0. They're still changing everyone's character and everyone's name for no reason as soon as they get called up to the main roster. It's still happening with everyone.
I kind of agree with you. I'm like 90% agreeing with you, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. Number one, you said it already. They're cleaning up Triple H's last few decisions, right?
Yes.
So that's the big key here. Everyone that we've seen go up recently has been black and gold type of era wrestlers. People like Raquel Gonzalez, people like Martel Barcel, their names are changing because there's that the memo that has gone out that wrestlers are not going to be using their real names. They want to use copyright, new names that they can copyright. So okay, that explains those name changes. In terms of the characterizations, the LA Knight, interesting decision, but I'm gonna just before I go on the same rant as you, I'm going to wait and see when, the Bron Breakers get called up, when the Cora Jades get called up. To me, that's the real first look into what NXT 2.0 is producing. Having said that, we've gone 7, 8 months into NXT 2.0. They could have made these changes, in that time window, but they didn't. So whatever. I feel like it was some wasted time, some wasted, like you said, the pipeline was kind of wasted there. But at the end of the day, I'm going to just hold off on the same rant that you did until we see, that first crop of NXT 2.0 people go up.
All right, it's a fair point. That is a fair point. Yeah. I would celebrate and welcome Bron Breakker becoming Braun Steiner, but or Rex Steiner or whatever it might be. But yeah, man, that's a fair point. Grayson Waller, Cora Jade, when those people go up, if their names and characters get changed randomly, then it'll be like, okay, what are we doing here? What's the point of any of this, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. But having said that, just remember, I don't know. People have been playing super devil's advocate, right? And saying, what if the prototype stayed the prototype, right? Things like that. And again, it's easy to say that, but I'm going to hold off on full judgment until that first crop of 2.0 people go up. The Raquel Gonzalez's, the LA Knights, even the Tommaso Ciampas. I'm going to hold off on judgment just because those are the leftovers from Triple H's brand, from Triple H's idea, from the old idiom, the old, thought of NXT.
Okay. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I'm not even saying like I disagree. I agree with all of that. I think like my point is just kind of adjacent to that, which is like they like drastically changed the old vision of NXT specifically to avoid this happening.
Yep.
So the fact that it happens, you know what I mean? I'm not even saying that it's a bad thing that it happens. It's just that what the F was the point of changing NXT then, That's my question.
No, for sure. I can for sure see that. And again, like, the timing is just interesting just because you could have made these changes over the past, 6-8 months. So it's I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that I am right now. I just don't care enough right now.
Fair enough, man. It's not worth losing any sleep over either way. You know what I mean? It's just funny to me. That's all.
Yep. All right. So LA Knight announces to the fans that he is launching the Knight Model Management Stable, and his first member of the group is Mace, formerly of the Retribution Stable. Knight described his stable as a talent agency, and it was made clear that he is a heel, and because he insulted the fans. Now, no one knows if this is what the actual plan is moving forward. A lot of people were saying that this was more of a tryout, more of a, see what the in-house the reaction is, etc. But here we go. This is the start of LA Knight's call-up.
I like it. He's a fine wrestler, but he's a better talker than he is a wrestler anyway. It's not as heartbreaking as it would be if Adam Cole had gone up to the main roster and was only a manager. I feel like that would be a waste of a main event wrestler. I don't think that's the case with LA Knight. I think he's like a Robert Roode or a Dolph Ziggler level wrestler, and he could be better as a manager. So I think this one's actually worth a try. I really do. I have nothing bad to say about this.
Yep, same here. And maybe this is something he wants as well, right? Like again, we're not privy to that sort of information. So we'll see. But having him, especially with someone like a Mace, someone like T-Bar, someone like there's a whole list of wrestlers that we can probably add to the stable. Having him as their mouthpiece and having him as someone who can also get physical, is not a bad thing. I am interested to see if he will solely be a manager, if he's going to be more of a Johnny Polo type of route as opposed to a, I don't know, Rocco kind of route or Rico kind of route. I don't know.
Or Rocco, the puppet, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he ever got in the ring.
Yeah.
That's funny. I think he'll probably be that hybrid, like when Bobby the Brain would throw on the singlet and get in the ring. Survivor Series 89, and of course a lot in the earlier portion of his career. But yeah, man, that's what I hope for LA Knight. I think that's a good use of his talents.
Yeah. All right. So that is LA Knight. Let's move on to Kushida. So Kushida's contract apparently has expired, and he is out of the WWE. He was moved to the alumni section. It's unclear whether WWE even offered him a new deal, but here we go. Kushida is gone. His initial 3-year contract is over. One can say that it was a complete failure. He was signed in 2019. The pandemic happened. He got injured during the pandemic. I think he started seeing a little bit more success at the end of 2020, had a very good first half of 2021, and then 2.0 happened.
Yeah. 2.0 was the nail in his coffin, but it's like for the best. Free Kushida, you know what I mean? Like, good. He's out of jacket time. He's out of that ridiculous gimmick, and he can go be a really good wrestler for the rest of his career anywhere. Well, he's going to have good matches. He's going to be better off.
He's also 38, right? So, like, I'm pretty sure he wants to just, kind of finish off what he had envisioned in his mind and then just call it a career. Like, not to say that he's going to retire anytime soon or that he's old, But I'm sure he's already managed to do a lot of what he wanted in his career. And just remember, this is someone who, when he came to WWE, this is something he always wanted to do, right? He came, he tried it out, it didn't work out for him, or maybe it did work out for him, and the plan was always to return back to Japan after, right? We don't know, but it's just one of those unfortunate things of NXT 2.0, because I think the Kushida that we had that first half of last year would have been a pretty good half decent mid-card wrestler on the main roster.
Oh, easily could have been. He could have been like a new take on Tajiri, and Tajiri was an awesome mid-carder in WWE. Had some really memorable matches and contributed a lot. He could have easily been at that level, and that's just to name like something that a way that I think Vince McMahon could have used him, right? Anyway, yeah, I don't think it's a failure at all, though. I think he had some awesome matches. I think once the 2.0 came, the weird rainbow splashy paint was on the wall, Boris, and he read it and he left, and it's fine. It's good for everyone. Both parties will be better off. Now we don't have to be mad at NXT for wasting such a brilliant talent, and Kushida can go and, like you said, kind of wrap up his career however he wants to.
Exactly. It is being reported that he is going to end up in New Japan, especially with Best of the Super Juniors coming up. So that's kind of the most likely destination for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Hopefully he shows up. Maybe if this rumor is to be believed and there's going to be an AEW New Japan show, maybe he'll show up on that, wrestle Kyle O'Reilly for old time's sake. Who knows?
Exactly. So that's Kushida stuff. Triple H earlier in the week gave a interview, and this interview was actually quite interesting because it kind of went over some of the things that we've been talking about, kind of solidified stuff. Especially for me, the biggest takeaway for me was competition is good. They were talking about the growing pool of talent. They were basically saying that sometimes independent wrestlers are so set in their ways that it's easier from a pure training point of view to train someone with no wrestling experience than an independent wrestler who already kind of are set in their ways. But my biggest takeaway was this whole 6-month turnaround of talent and the 6-month evaluation that they're going to have, and it's basically like a 6-month boot camp to see if this person is good enough or not.
Yeah, I agree with your read on it. I wish we got a little more, but that's fine. Like I do think there's money in Triple H talking just in general, but about these things, I think he should do a little press tour. I think they can get some views. Maybe even do like a Triple H podcast, the broken skull sessions,
the broken throne sessions.
The Broken Throne sessions with Cody and Hunter. I love it so much. Anyway, man, but yeah, I agree with your read on this interview. It's very interesting to see that 6-month turnaround, to see someone like a Lash Legend or a Nikita Lyons, how they stack up in a couple months, if WWE is just going to cut bait or if they're going to remain in NXT for more seasoning. Like, what does the 6-month turnaround mean exactly? We're going to see. So very, very interesting. But yeah, Triple H is on board, it seems. And like, he's still very much a company man. There's no Triple H taking over the NWA for Billy Corgan. There's no crazy rumors like that happening. He is very much WWE through and through for life. And he is saying what the company has been saying. He is right back on board. So in a way, that's nice to see. In a way, it sucks.
You know what? It's nice to see, just because people were expecting to hear and see this dysfunction, right? That when Triple H was going to come back, it was going to basically be, I got screwed and FNXT, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think that, and then I kind of maintained that we're not going to see that, right? Like, he is family at the end of the day. I think that, the NXT 2.0 decision, I don't think was literally made overnight. I think that there was some talk that there would be a rebrand, because even Triple H talked about it. That, I don't think he necessarily mentioned the way that it was rebranded, but I think there was always a plan to rebrand what NXT was going to become or be.
Absolutely. Kind of like he said, go back to the way it was. Go back to the original idea, which is pure developmental, not the quote unquote super indie that it kind of became, right?
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. And it was kind of nice to see Triple H just back in the fold.
Honestly, like you said, I want him to do this PR tour. I think it's absolutely needed. Especially, I don't know. The internet wrestling community is an interesting community to deal with, as we know. I don't know if it's going to make a change in how the internet wrestling community sees NXT and Triple H and that relationship. But I think, for the common folk who kind of just hear stuff here there, I think having a Triple H PR tour would be pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. I want the Triple H U shoot starring Sean Oliver. That's what I want to see. I want it all. I want Triple H to do the media tour.
Yep. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, I guess we're going to talk about it during our NXT review, but I kind of want to focus on this just because there has been tons of attention on Roxy, now known as Roxanne Perez. And it's funny because you kind of said something to me this morning that I wholeheartedly agree with. And Matt, what was your message to me this morning?
All right. Are there 3 better wrestlers in the NXT women's division right now than Roxanne Perez, the former Roxy in Ring of Honor? I could say Io Shirai is a better wrestler. Kaylee Ray at this moment is better than Roxy. Is there another wrestler? Sorry, Boris. Excuse me, not Kaylee Ray. Apparently, Alba Fire.
Yes.
Is her name now?
Yes.
Apologies, not Kaylee Ray. Alba Fire, incredible wrestler, as is Io Shirai. I think Roxy is the 3rd best wrestler in the NXT women's division.
Honestly, I was thinking about this last night because we watched Level Up. We saw her defeat Sloane Jacobs in about 5 minutes. Pretty good match, especially with someone so green, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Sloane Jacobs here. People have to remember,
Money
Roxanne
City Maniacs.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, sorry. Roxanne Perez is what? She's 20 years old and she already has 6 years experience. Like, that alone is insane. This is why ROH dubbed her the Connor McDavid of the women's professional wrestling divisions. Like, she is this prodigy. And I think, I kind of wanted to set the bar because I think that having that moniker is a hell of a thing, right? So when we talked about her even a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, she is still a little green. She is still a little rough around the edges. And I think that was seen. Having said that, I don't think your assessment is wrong.
Yeah, man, she's so polished. She's like already like she's like you said, she's young. She's still, figuring out certain things. She's still figuring out how to, you know what I mean? Like, work the WWE style and constantly project to the hard cam and all those things, right? But she is an awesome technician in there already. Like, she's pretty good in the ring. Like, she's throwing arm drags like Ricky Steamboat. She's very, very athletic, takes a good bump. She's just a very good wrestler already. And she is a likable personality. She cuts a decent promo. Like, you can tell that this person is already ready for the main roster, first of all.
Okay.
But yep. I mean, if they want to give her some seasoning and kind of teach her the ropes a little bit and give her a hardcore main event run, like a long run with the NXT women's title, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good use of her talents, especially while she's, like you said, 2021. And they made no mistake on this show. We'll get into it, but the first time you saw Roxanne Perez on camera on NXT 2.0 television, she was with the world champion in a promo segment. They're telling you that she is going to face Mandy Rose pretty soon, and that's awesome. Like, they know how to book top level talent in NXT. Actually, I shouldn't even say that because Bron Breakkin might have been ruined. But
yeah, like, going back to Level Up, she hits a nice looking Luthez press. She does a beautiful twisted senton splash, and then she does her code red. Like, and all of this looks so smooth, especially against someone like a Sloane Jacobs. And there's one thing that's really helping Roxanne. That is the crowd. The crowd absolutely eats her up. The crowd knows who she is. They're cheering for Roxy. So I'm really digging this. And I think you're right, the first time we saw her on NXT 2.0 was for an incredible kind of like promo, a segment telling us who she is. I absolutely love that. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But, when WWE does stuff right, they do stuff right.
Yeah, like I advise against watching Raw every week. WWE is still pretty bad, but when they hit a home run, they can still like I don't know, they can still put the machine behind you and do a decent job sometimes. And we're gonna see how long it lasts with Roxanne Perez. But for right now, I think sky's the limit for this girl. She's like as good as we felt about Nikita Lyons. Nikita Lyons is still a maybe, right? I don't think Roxanne Perez is a maybe. I think it's a matter of when, not if. You know.
Yeah. After last night's promo, I think I know where Nikita Lyons needs some improvement. But, again, get there. And you know why I wanted to talk about Roxanne Perez? That way we don't have to talk about Level Up.
Yes, that is the Level Up review. Watch the Roxanne Perez match and then delete Level Up from your PVR or computer, never to be seen again.
Yep. All right, so NXT 2.0, NXT UK. Is it time to start chatting about these shows, Matt?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
It was like a solid, chaotic but fun NXT ruined by a terrible Joe Gacy through line. I think we have to go Druids out of 5 for this one. I think the rating, Boris, it's got to be Druids.
Yeah, I was going to say WTFs, but Druids is good. All right.
Yes.
So we get a highlights from last week's NXT when Pretty Deadly, Kit Wilson, and Elton Prince. Kit Wilson and Elton Prince. Kit Wilson and Elton Prince. Pretty Deadly.
Honestly, yeah, I'm just desensitized to it at this point. It could be worse. They could be worse. Not that bad on the WWE scale.
Legend. All right, Pretty Deadly.
Former WNBA player, Lash Legend.
Yeah, Pretty Deadly. Start the show. Kit Wilson, Elton Prince make their entrance in street clothes. The picture-in-picture shows that Bron Breakkin was arriving to the Performance Center. Prince took the mic, talks about how Pretty Deadly made history by winning the tag team titles in their first match in NXT USA. Wilson talks about how they dominated the UK and the UK tag team scene, and that is when, formerly known as the Grizzled Young Veterans, Young Veterans, now known as what? Drake and Gibson?
Yeah, Drake and Gibson. They do not have a tag. You couldn't call them Grizzled Young Veterans. That name was way too cool, Boris. Way too cool a name. No, that can't exist in 2.0. They're just Drake and Gibson now.
Yep, Drake and Gibson. All right, they call Pretty Deadly dweebs and dorks. I'm still, you know what? For my sanity, I'm gonna call them Grizzled Young Veterans moving forward.
Yeah,
at least for this episode.
Fair enough.
All right, so Grizzled Young Veterans, they talk about how they would have won the gauntlet if they were in it, and Pretty Deadly only dominated the UK tag team scene because the Grizzled Young Veterans left. That is when Legado del Fantasma make their entrance before Elektra Lopez could even start her promo. Oh my God, these name changes are killing me. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde jumped the Grizzled Young Veterans. The three teams brawled with each other into the backstage area. Bron Breakkin walks to the ring from the crowd. He enters the ring, demands that Joe Gacy return Rick Steiner's Hall of Fame ring. Gacy appears on all of the LCD screens, and coincidentally, the same week that The Batman debuts on HBO Max, which is funny because it's not even one of their stations or affiliated, but pop culture. So Joe Gacy said that he's not hard to find, and all that Bron has to do is find him. Gacy did a menacing laugh. His face was multiplied on all of the screens with static sounds, distortions, lights, and the whole kit and caboodle. That's a word I'm going to start using more. The whole kit and caboodle. And then Breakker leaves to the back in search of Gacy.
Yeah, so this is a pretty hard turn for the generic HR guy. Like, I guess in the last couple weeks, he's been more evil. He kidnapped a man and then was sitting in the woods with a flaming garbage can, contemplating his thoughts. But here he was, sans Harland, by the way, pas du Harlan in this episode, I noticed. But yeah, Joe Gacy is just like he's the Riddler now. He's the Fiend. He's the Undertaker.
Yeah, he's the Joker, the Riddler, the Undertaker, the Fiend, the whatever. Yeah. So let's get to it now. I don't know. I don't know about this. I really don't know about this.
Well, I've been saying they need to make him more evil, and they certainly made him more evil.
This is your fault.
I don't. Yeah, it might be my fault. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't think he needs to be more spooky. That's not what I was hoping for. But man, they love a spooky character. Bruce Pritchard loves a spooky character in wrestling, buddy. He just loves the demonic weird stuff. So I think we're gonna be in for more and not less of this. But yeah, I think the less said about it, the better. Just cheesy wrestle crap, and we'll get into more of why as it continues on the program.
Yep. All right. So one thing I really did like about this episode is that it was chock full of Legado del Fantasma.
Yes, lots of Legado for sure. They appear to be kind of switching to babyface, dare I say?
Yeah, I think so. I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, they'll win more. They should win more, theoretically, on paper.
On paper. Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens. All right. So the show cuts the YouTube video that WWE aired over the weekend. It was Santos Escobar cutting a promo about Carmelo Hayes. He was sitting poolside. He said that the former A champion is making a lot of excuses. Escobar said he's going to remind Melo of sticking to where he belongs in the back of the line for the North American Championship.
Good promo. Santos is a star.
He's been an estrella in my corazón since day zero.
Yes.
Now, that translated is, he's been a star in my heart since day zero.
I thought it was a galaxy or something for some reason, but I'm glad. Yeah, he's been a star in my heart too, Boris. Just not significantly better than Andrade. One day we will have the great debate. We will each take sides. We should do like an hour podcast on it.
Don't worry, AEW is going to book the match on Dark Elevation one day, so that's when we'll find out what happens.
Sad.
Also,
too real. Please.
Also of note, I still can't buy that effing shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's always sold out. Like, it's always sold out. It is disgusting.
Yeah, they need to print more.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
People have spoken.
Exactly. All right. The show cuts to Melo and Trick cutting a promo. Melo said he doesn't go to the back of the line because he created the damn line. Trick hypes up Melo. Melo hypes up his match against Escobar for later in the show.
Trick Williams is awesome too. Just awesome. They need to make sure he speaks on every 2.0 episode.
Yep. All right. Tiffany Stratton versus Magical Schoolgirl Mode Sarai.
Oh man, so I was actually quite enjoying this match. It was more than your standard typical NXT 2.0 opener. I think they were showing some fire. You believe that they disliked each other, but then the finish of this match was just terrible and clunky. So I think it ruined it. And it was only 4 minutes anyway, but I kind of liked what they were driving at for a bit here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tiffany Stratton surely is improving, right? Like, I think week over week, and that's what you want to see. So that's why I'm not going to hate on it. Having said that, at the end of the day, the end did ruin this match for me. So I guess I am hating on it to a certain extent. Anyways, Tiffany Stratton tries to hold Saray's boot, but Saray escapes with a PK. Saray hit Tiffany with a face wash drop kick. Tiffany escapes a hold by hitting Saray with a back headbutt. Tiffany hits Saray with a corkscrew Vader bomb for a clean pin at 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so they get into a kerfuffle in the corner, and it's like you can basically see them going, okay, you ready? Like 1, 2, and then they do the back headbutt spot, which is, we were supposed to believe in kayfabe, I guess, knocked Saray out, and then Tiffany Stratton hits her 360 Vader bomb, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah, I liked what they were driving at. It was going to cross that Mendoza line until the finish, but yeah, typical WWE match at the end. We're going to go 2.5 Druids out of 5 for this one. Mendoza line, Dominic Mysterio line kind of match.
Yep. All right, Drake and Gibson were talking with each other backstage. Bron Breakker barges past them and was looking for Gacy. Breakker heard Rick Steiner's voice in the distance. He ends up finding a computer tablet on a chair inside of a shark cage. The audio that was playing was the end of NXT from 2 weeks ago when Joe Gacy kidnaps Rick Steiner and no one calls the cops. Breakker walks into the cage, took the tablet, slammed it on the ground in anger. Breakker walks away to continue his search.
I actually did kind of like that you heard Rick Steiner's voice, and then it was the tape recorder. Well, no, it wasn't a tape recorder. It was, I guess it was an iPad that was playing that or tablet of some kind that Bron Breakker destroyed. But yeah, I definitely thought that he was going to get locked in the cage backstage.
100%. If, you know what, here's the thing. If they had just done that, would have been so much better.
It actually would have been better than what they did do, sadly. Although I'm not advocating that would have been good.
No, 100% no, because we would have been here saying, how stupid is the face for just walking into this shark cage?
Yes. But it would have been better than what did transpire.
Yep. All right. Pretty Deadly were saying their catchphrases backstage. Yes, boy. A lot while touring the Performance Center. Persia Perota and Indy Hartwell challenged Pretty Deadly to a match. Pretty Deadly were hyped to wrestle Hartwell and Perota. And then they obviously brought out Hudson and Loomis. Pretty Deadly walks away to avoid Hudson and Loomis.
Pretty fun little promo. I didn't mind it at all. I think Pretty Deadly have a lot of charisma.
They really do, honestly, and they seem to be getting a lot of positive attention, you know, from the internet wrestling community, especially from people who haven't seen their work in NXT UK.
Absolutely, and I think as good as they are in the ring, they are better characters, so they're well suited for the American system. So I'm excited to see how they grow here on NXT 2.0.
Yep. The hardest working reporter in all of professional wrestling, Mackenzie Mitchell, is trying so hard to do her job, interviewing Grayson Waller, talking about Waller facing his former bodyguard Sanga later in the show. This is when Andre Chase and Bodie Hayward show up to yell at Waller for some reason. Sanga comes out of nowhere, chases Waller to the ring. The referee runs in, and this starts the pretty random match between Grayson Waller and Sanga.
Yes. Before we get into the match, I did actually quite enjoy the Andre Chase, Bodie Hayward cameo. Chase starts hitting him with the Ben Franklin line, and Grayson Waller goes, "Ben Franklin, who did he ever beat?" It's just a classic wrestling line, but that made me laugh out loud. I feel like that was ad-libbed. I might be wrong. Maybe that was scripted, but who knows? That was a good note by whoever threw that in. Good job on you, Grayson Waller. And yeah, kind of a strange match. They are beating Sanga like a drum in this NXT 2.0. I don't think he's won yet. I think he's winless.
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm thinking like his entire feud with LA Knight, he lost. It was Waller who always beat LA Knight, and now he loses to Waller. So Waller rolls into ringside out of ringside for a breather. He goes for a baseball slide, but he was caught by Sanga. Sanga tosses Waller into the ring post. Then Waller eventually hits Sanga with the rolling stunner for the clean win in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes, 4 minutes and 18 seconds from the time of the backstage attack is when I started timing it. Yeah, Grayson Waller pins Sanga with the dive roll stunner, the old Chavo Guerrero / Kofi Kingston dive roll into the ring spot, into a stunner if you've never seen that finisher before. I quite like it. It's a completely unique and very interesting move. Grayson Waller has a real something. I think he's on the main roster by SummerSlam, and I'm excited for the Grayson Waller era, man. I actually think he's like one of the highlights of 2.0.
Yep. So somebody texted me something about Sanga, and it actually made me laugh, so I'm going to say it on this show. So they called him Braun Strowman.
That's a good line. That was a good
right? Like, dude, I would have taken full credit for this, but I just can't because it was too good.
Oh man, Sanga. So yeah, I would go another kind of typical average WWE match. We're gonna go 2.5 Druids out of 5. Dominic Mysterio line.
Yep. All right. The show then cuts to a Cora Jade sit-down promo. Jade recaps being betrayed by her hero last week, Natty. She said her future isn't bleak, like Natalia said. She said she saw Natty as a hero and a dream match, but her dream now is to kick Natty's legendary ass. I personally laughed really hard at that. Jade ripped up a photo of her as a kid standing next to Natty to end this pretty god-awful thing.
Yeah, this was NXT scripting at its worst. You're laughing at it, not with it. Like, my dream now is to kick Natalia's legendary ass, like anyone on planet Earth would ever speak like that. Just like, you got to feel for them, but you know what, Cora Jade's still likable, and yeah, this was at least fun to laugh at, so we'll give it that much.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, again, she's doing the best she can with the script she's given.
Yeah, and boy, just boy. And they want an Emmy, Boris. Jesus, Lord Almighty.
Yep. Legado del Fantasma make their entrance. Then, here we go. A little girl was shown playing on her PlayStation. The girl mentions how her mom bought her a PS4 as a kid. She talked about being lost in playing pro wrestling games and how that led her to wanting to be a pro wrestler when she grew up. She said she even used the Create a Wrestler to create herself in the game. Do you know who this little girl grew up to be?
Mandy Rose. No, just kidding.
She grew up to be Roxanne Perez, formerly Roxy. They do a great job of hyping her up. They mentioned that her debut is set for next week.
And now you know the rest of the story. No, that's dope, man. Yeah, I really enjoyed this promo a lot. Roxanne Perez is a future star. I'm sure they can fuck it up because they're trying really hard to screw up Bron Breakker. But as of this moment, she looks like a can't-miss prospect. Indeed, perhaps the Connor McDavid of the women's division.
Yep. The hardest working reporter in all of professional wrestling, Mackenzie Mitchell, interviews Roxanne Perez. But before Perez could really finish her thought, Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, JC Jane show up to taunt Perez. Rose talks about how this is real life and not a video game.
Very, very interesting. If for no other reason than we saw that they're putting her with the world champion right away. First time she's on screen live, world champion shows up and is like, who are you? And I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Part of me thought they were going to put the world title on her tonight. I think they might do it as soon as Spring Breakin'.
I think so. I honestly think so. I think that's the direction they're going to go in. It's, she's on the collision course to face her at this point, right?
Do it now. Or another thing that I was thinking, Boris, is they could pivot slightly and have Roxy and Cora Jade take the NXT Women's Tag Team titles.
Yeah, you know what? It's hilarious because I was literally thinking, knowing WWE, knowing how they do things, they have two just smoking hot, and I mean this by charisma and abilities and stuff like that. Cora Jade and whatever. Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, might as well put them together at this point, right? You have these two super young, talented people on your roster. It's not going to hurt them.
Yeah, natural pairing too. Like in a word, in a 2 or 3 word, phrase, you would describe Cora Jade as skater girl, and you would describe right now Roxanne Perez as gamer girl. Like just for the barely nothing that we know about them, skater girl and gamer girl. That's a fun tag team. I can see it. Natural pairing. Let's do it. But I do think what I would do if I were booking NXT is Roxanne Perez beats Mandy Rose clean as a whistle at the next big show, which is Spring Breakin', May 6th or whatever it is, and she holds the title for a year, and then goes up to the main roster.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. As much as I would love to see that, that's not going to happen. All right, the Grizzly Young veterans make their entrance, and this is where we find out they also lost their individual first names and their team names. What a blow! All in one foul swoop.
I didn't even notice that they lost their first names too. I saw that the Chiron was Drake and Gibson, but I just thought that was their tag team. I guess that they were not James Drake and Zach Gibson. They were consistently throughout simply Drake and Gibson. I think you're right. They did lose their first names too. Shit.
Yeah, which is interesting because I don't know if you know, but for our listeners who don't know pop culture, there already is someone slightly more popular with the name Drake already.
This is an excellent excellent point. For you pop culture experts out there, one might note there already is a famous drink. That is absolutely hilarious. Oh my god.
But you know what I mean? Like, WWE is so hesitant to name people the same name, especially from pop culture. So I find it interesting and scary that James Drake right now is just known as Drake. So I can see a name change in his future to, like, I don't know. What was his name in Degrassi?
Aubrey? No, they're gonna rename him Jay-Z. That's what they should do.
And then their tag team name is 99 Problems.
Oh man, this is just good stuff. You know what though? This wrestling match, though it only got 4 minutes, was a tornado. This thing was a great 4 minutes.
Yep. This was like just the like my notes are so screwed up for this episode just because of the name changes. All right, so this match was Legado del Fantasma, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde.
I don't even hate Cruz del Toro that much. It's pro wrestling. That one's fine. It's not as bad as Carry On Cross or Damian Priest. But like Cruz del Toro, seriously, word, like for real. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Legado del Fantasma, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde versus Drake and Gibson.
What are we doing here? It's just the name roulette. Just you remember in South Park when like they planned the bailout? I believe it's the Margaritaville episode, and they go to like the hires up in the bank, and the way they plan who gets a bailout and how much or whatever is they cut the head off a chicken and they just put it on a wheel and they play the kazoo. That's how they're naming these guys in NXT 2.0. Yep. It's a literal chicken with his head cut off running around.
We should change our names while we're at it.
I will be Tatum Paxley.
Oh, I don't even know anymore. Jesus Christ. All right. 4 minutes was this match, and it was 4 minutes of just pure, raw entertainment.
Yeah, this was just a full-on sprint. They were like, okay, well, we have 4 minutes. The grizzled young veterans were like, they took our names, but they can't take our jobs yet. And they went in there. They did do the job, but man, they busted their ass. They got every second out. They milked this thing. They squeezed this sponge dry. This was a really, really fun 4 minute match.
You know what this was, Matt? This was 4 veterans who were only given 4 minutes, and they're like, you know what? Fuck them. We're going to show them what's up.
Absolutely. And they did, I thought. Like, if this went double the time, it's a takeover match. Like, it's a takeover-worthy match. These guys busted their ass in 4 minutes. Really, really good. I just wanted more. I wanted 10 more minutes at least.
Yeah. Toro ends up hitting Drake with a DDT. Wilde hits Gibson with a flip dive. Legado hit Drake with a leg sweep, leg lariat combo for the win to get the win. Legado del Fantasma with the win. My God. In 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think they're going babyface, Boris. I think the people are listening to you. They agree. Everyone who watches 2.0 live listens to this podcast, as we all know. And no, man, I think it's time for Legado to go babyface because the crowd likes them. They're dope. And this was an awesome match. I would go as high as 3 3/4 Druids. They tried so hard. They delivered. You couldn't quite call it great, but I would put it right up on that borderline. So 3 3/4 out of 5, 75%, B+ in Canada. Great job, fellas.
So clearly I want to focus on this part of Legado's appearance. So I'm going to keep going. One thing I really loved was during their entrance, and they cut the commercial as this was happening. Did you notice the crowd chanting Legado along with their song?
Yeah, Legado. Yeah, I like that chant a lot. That's really cool.
Yeah, number 1. Number 2, the way that this match even started, I thought that I don't know who did the dive, but he like almost completely missed whoever it was from Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yes, yeah. I believe it was Del Toro. I might be wrong. Yeah. But yeah, you're completely right. That could have been a tragedy to start this match.
Some would say he's a Toro I'm not going to finish that. Because Toro
China
is
shop?
bull. Yeah, because Toro
China
is
shop?
bull.
You were going China shop?
Yeah, I was. All right. So Santos Escobar grabs the mic and he said that Tony D'Angelo better watch his match later to see how a real leader does business.
Very good. Yeah, Tony. I'm liking where this Tony Legato feud is going, and that's why it's clear that Legato is babyface now.
Yep. All right. The hardest working reporter in all of professional wrestling, Mackenzie Mitchell, interviews the new solo Wes Lee. This was kind of sad in a weird way.
Yeah, boy, what an interesting, weird promo this was. It was sad, especially the way the match went.
Yeah, he said that ever since Stand and Deliver, he's felt a little bit lost. It hasn't been easy. That's when Zion Quinn shows up and said that Lee's problem is that he doesn't run it straight. Wes Lee said nobody knows what that even means. Quinn said he's going to teach Lee a lesson. Lee said he may have doubts now, but he is at home in the ring. Lee said that when he sees Quinn in the ring later, he's going to get a piece of this chaos.
So, this was like the kind of promo that, like, when I watched it, I was like, okay, well, hopefully Wes Lee wins this match. They start pushing this kid. It's going well. Seeing how this turned out, it just made me even sadder. It kind of like ruined what was a decent promo to just be like, oh, of course they're pushing the big guy, the big old Zion Quinn type Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. That's I don't know, but I still feel like they're like trying to figure out what to do, pick which lane to go in with Wes Lee.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe they'll find him a new tag team partner, but I think the lane to go in is that push him like a really good singles wrestler and see what you got. He could be the new Ricochet.
Yeah. Oh. Like real Ricochet, not WWE Ricochet.
Well, this is the thing. The Ricochet who was a world champion level wrestler in literally every other promotion he's ever been in. That guy.
But Matt, he's your IC champion.
Yes. Left off WrestleMania IC champion, yes.
Anyways, Trick and Mello make their entrance. During the commercial, it was shown that Elektra, Wilde, and Mendoza brawled with Fallon Henley, Josh Briggs, and Brooks Jensen, also known as in these parts as the Incel Express. Joseph noted that Escobar doesn't have the numbers advantage now.
Very good. Yeah. No, indeed, they do not. So, Santos going it alone like a true babyface would.
Yep. So, Santos Escobar versus Carmelo Hayes in what was pretty much a North American Championship #1 contenders match. I loved this match.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. You could argue that the finish of it took away something from it. You could argue that it you know what I mean? It, like you got to bump a half star off it or whatever if you wanted to be super nerdy. I kind of liked the finish, but if you wanted to tell me the finish ruined this match, I would accept that argument.
Yep, I would accept that argument, but let's be real here. This is TV. You're going to get angles happening on TV. You kind of assumed that they were going to go the mellow solo route for Cameron Grimes. So, not only did I suspect a loss for Santos because he's Santos Escobar, but the reality is I don't think that he was next in line for the North American title shot. Plus, he has this ongoing storyline with Tony D'Angelo, AOAO. So...
Yeah, no, you're completely right, man. I think, it's not a loss that hurts Santos at all. Carmelo Hayes is pushed very strongly.
Dude, at this point, no loss is hurting Santos Escobar.
He's pretty bulletproof. He's pretty dang bulletproof.
Yep. So the referee was distracted checking in on Mello. Two random dudes in suits and fedoras show up at ringside. One of the unknown guys block Escobar with a crowbar. The other tosses Escobar back in the ring. Mello caught Escobar with the top rope scissor kicks for the win at 13 minutes, 55 seconds. And that was that.
Yeah, looking like a couple 1940s wise guys. Like, see? Crowbar to the leg, see? And Carmelo Hayes wins with an awesome top rope axe kick. The most axe kicky of all his axe kicks. He got a lot of height. This thing looked beautiful. So, I thought it was a very good match. I actually personally preferred the previous match just for what it was. This was 14 minutes. It was very, very good. I would go 3.5 Druids out of 5. Very good match.
Yep. Mello and Trick Williams grab the mics. Mello claims that he's going to regain the North American title in a few weeks when he invokes his rematch at the themed Spring Break break-in show. Cameron Grimes made his entrance and said that he hoped that Mello would confront him like a man as opposed to jumping him. Grimes was about to enter the ring, and that's when Solo Sikoa shows up, caught Trick with a super kick. Solo hits Mello with a pop-up Samoan drop. Grimes and Solo nodded at each other in respect as Solo made the exit.
Yeah, so there we go. Triple threat match has been set up, and it would be confirmed later in the show. Boris, I do want to grammatically here. This is something I caught it this morning, and it's very annoying. It's not spring break in, which would make sense. You know what I mean? Like a break in, like they're breaking into breaking. Yeah, it's like spring breaking, like a verb, like yes. I'm going spring breaking, except yes. with an apostrophe, like spring breaking. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're going streaking, we're going spring breaking in the lobby. So that's where we're at with NXT. We're spring breaking.
Bron Breakker was still looking for Joe Gacy. Yeah, this one was a really weird promo. Breakker walks into a random room of mirrors that was in the WWE Performance Center. I think these were the same mirrors. I think, when WWE bought WCW, this is the same mirror where the Warriors showed up because Breakker saw Gacy from one of the mirrors. When he turns around, Gacy was gone, and he then yells out, "Where are you?"
And his brain, we now have brain breaking, Boris. Oh my God! I just want to, before we move on from this spring breaking thing, it's basically like calling Halloween Havoc Halloweenin'. NXT presents Halloweenin'
or
2022
or Halloween Havocin'.
I just wanted to say weenin'. I just wanted to work that in organically. But yeah, Boris, basically, yes, it's the Halloween Havoc in 2022. Anyway, yeah, so we're getting wrestle crap here with Joe Gacy and Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker seeing specters in the mirror. Maybe we're supposed to believe that Joe Gacy was actually in the room and then ran away. I don't know what we're supposed to believe.
You're giving him way too much of the benefit of the doubt on that one, buddy.
Yeah, I was grasping at straws there.
Yep. Grasping at, I don't even know. I'm not even witty this week. That pisses me off how unwitty I am right now.
It's just, this thing has broken your brain. They're brain breaking, I'm telling you.
Oh, the episode title needs to be something in.
Yeah. Spring Bammin'? No, this isn't Bam. I'll figure it out.
Roderick Strong is chatting with Malcolm Bivens in the Diamond Mine gym. Strong talks about watching another group fall apart, alluding to the Undisputed Era, and he doesn't want to see Diamond Mine also fall. Strong said he's going to make examples of the enemies of Diamond Mine.
It's funny because after NXT UK, it's like, oh, is Roderick Strong just a hardcore baby face now? And then you watch this and it's like, oh, Roderick Strong is about to kick Malcolm Bivens out of Diamond Mine.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking, right? Oh, man.
But if it means Malcolm Bivens on the main roster, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yep. I was thinking, who could you put Malcolm Bivens with?
Who needs a mouthpiece? Ricochet.
I was literally going to say Ricochet.
There you go.
Ricochet. All right. Natalya versus Tatum Paxley.
Yeah, pretty bad match, but I mean, whatever. It's Natalya wins in 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 54 seconds with the sharpshooter. Exactly what you picture in your head. Tatum Paxley's all right. Very new. She's got a little bit of something, though.
You know who Tatum Paxley reminds me of in look, ring gear, and kind of, I'm talking about like a few years ago in ring?
Who's that?
Britt Baker.
Interesting. The Doctor will see us now. Tatum Paxley.
Yep.
I can see it. She's like, well, they had her kind of flirting with Diamond Mine for a little bit. She's like a decent technician in there. She's not like stumbling over her own feet, Yep.
How many Druids would you give this match?
I thought it was probably below the old Mendoza line. We're gonna go 2 Druids out of 5 for this one.
Yep. All right, the show cuts to Tony D'Angelo being interviewed by their TMZ interviewer. The interviewer asks D'Angelo if he had something to do with the goons attacking Escobar. D'Angelo denies this. D'Angelo then saw the Legado del Fantasma SUV, and he said, "Nice tires."
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I like Tony D'Angelo's character. He's a good promo.
Yep. Yep. Sure. Why not? We get a hype video to hype up the NXT stateside debut of your favorite wrestler, Nathan Frazier.
Yes, to all the people who say that Ben Carter made a mistake in signing with WWE, you're probably right. I can't. But he's finally coming over, and Boris, it's time to celebrate. The Ben Carter truthers, such as myself, will have their moment in the sun. I never sold my Ben Carter stock.
Well, you know what? If he signed with AEW, he would still be in Jacksonville doing dark matches. So, it's possible. He ends up in the same road.
Hey, man, it's really possible, honestly. And if they're looking for a tag team partner for Wes Lee, I think they both can be like great singles wrestlers, but that could be something they could do for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. They did make mention that he's a student of Seth Rollins' wrestling school. I found that pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think Seth Rollins has got this guy like pointed out. I'm sure he said something to Vince about him, and I think it wouldn't shock me to see if he does make the main roster, him involved with Seth Rollins in some way.
This is why. All right, hear me out. This is Boris just throwing out random ideas that hopefully could happen, but because it's a good idea, will never ever happen.
Love it. Please continue.
People are giving me crap because I use jobber when I'm speaking about Finn Balor.
That's pretty harsh.
The guy loses 99% of the time.
Well, that's also true. All right. I can see both sides of the argument.
Anyways, Jesus, people. Anyways, there is someone in NXT UK who could use a Finn Balor kind of rub.
Who's that?
Guess. It's your boy.
My boy?
Your boy.
Noam Dar?
No. You always called him Finn Balor Light.
Oh, the Devlin, the Irish Ace.
Yeah,
that's a terrible accent. Oh boy,
horrible.
that needs work.
Oh, that's horrible. You gotta. So here's the thing, because like the whole Seth Rollins mention and Nathan Frazier, why don't they bring in Devlin, team him up with Balor, and there you go. Balor now has something to do, and hey, they can both job together.
Rude. I think they're pushing Devlin kind of hard in UK. He's a good heel good heel guy, as Kalisto would say. And I think he's in a good spot right now. I don't think you will want to bring him over and make him generic babyface jobber. As much as I see the idea, I think that would be kind of a waste of his talents. I can't believe that's coming out of my mouth, but
yeah.
There you are.
Speaking of wasted talents, Wes Lee versus Zion Quinn, 3 minutes 30 seconds. Zion Quinn basically just demolishes Wes Lee.
Well, Wes Lee did look really good at the start.
Did.
Like the first 30 seconds, minute of this match was all Wes Lee, all fire, all control. And I was like, oh, is he going to come out and win this thing and squash Zion Quinn? That did not happen. On 2 separate occasions, Zion Quinn almost ended this poor man's career. There was a suplex on the apron where he just kind of threw him up in the air like Randy Orton suplexing a Singh brother on the table. But like Wes Lee grabbed the rope, thankfully, and took a good bump. But I mean, that could have been really bad. He just landed could have landed neck first on the apron. And then the finish of this match was Zion Quinn hitting the flying forearm, what Jesse Ventura once called the flying jalapeno when Tito Santana did it. But he destroyed this man with the forearm. It's the old Shawn Michaels spot, used to hit the forearm, do the kip up, except no forearm has ever connected like this in the history of professional wrestling forearms. This was a grotesque flying forearm to the jaw, and I just felt so bad for Wes Lee in this moment. Like, man, this guy was tag team champion half an hour ago, and now he's jobbing to this man who just smashed him in the face with his finishing move. Like, holy shit, poor guy.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see what they do with Wes Lee. I really don't think he's going to be quote unquote punished or treated badly. I just think that, he's on bad times right now.
It's just a bad break for him, and I do think he's talented enough to overcome. I hope they give him the chance to overcome this terrible break. And yeah, he willed this match to be above average. He really did. He dragged Zion Quinn kicking and screaming to a good match here. We're going to go 3 Druids out of 5. And just sad, tough beat for Wes Lee. Tough beat for the kid. But he's really talented. He should hopefully be okay.
Yep. The hardest working reporter in all of professional wrestling. And this is why. This is like, what, her 5th, 6th interview of the night? That's why I call her the hardest working reporter in all of professional wrestling. Mackenzie Mitchell interviews Natalya about attacking Cora Jade last week. She said she wasn't attacking. She was acting in self-defense. She said new wrestlers show up on the main roster. They target her, being Natalya. So she's just trying to get the first strike on Cora Jade. Nikita Lyons shows up. She acted extra ratchet for some reason, and noted that after she takes care of Lash Legend, she wants to take care of Natalya.
Yeah, this was the wrestler cutting their first live promo. That's what this is. She showed me that she has, like, you know, charisma, but she was just yelling. She was just a person playing pro wrestler. She was just coming in there and cutting the fakest wrestling promo you ever saw. But at the same time, she has charisma. She has an incredible look. She has fire. But this was literally a day one promo because it was her first live promo, and that showed.
Yep. For the record, I didn't come up with the word ratchet here. I had to text someone, and she gave me a perfect word to use.
I would say that was a perfect word in that moment. It was certainly that.
Yep. Speaking of extra ratchet, Jacy Jane shows up getting ready for her match against Roxanne Perez.
Oh boy, yeah. So Roxanne Perez's level up match was better than her NXT match, but hey, at least she got that all important W.
Yep. So 7th match of the night, dude. 7th match of the night, and we're still not done with the show. Jacy Jane versus Roxanne Perez. This match only lasted 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Wendy Chu shows up on the screen. She shows that she tossed around the furniture in the Toxic Attraction Lounge. Perez hit the distracted Jane with a code red for the victory.
2 minutes, yeah. Well, I had it at 2 minutes, 19 seconds, but it was, yeah, under 3 minute kind of match. Roxanne Perez gets the win over an NXT tag team champion on her first night, gunning for that belt from Mandy Rose. It could happen sooner than later.
Yep. Legado are seen in the parking lot. They were seething, angry, pissed off. They were embodying my sentiment of their treatment in NXT because they were complaining about the random goons that attacked them. They then walked to their car, which had a parking boot on the wheel and a dead fish on the hood.
Dead fish. That is bold. So someone's going to die in Legado del Fantasma? I believe that's what that means.
I know, right?
If my mafia lore is correct.
Sleeping with the fishes, you see. Now, I just always think of The Sopranos after they kill Big Pussy, and then season 3, spoiler alert on a 20-plus-year-old show. That toy fish that like gives Tony that panic attack, the one that sung.
Yeah, that's actually so funny. Yeah, I think of Sopranos anytime Tony D'Angelo opens his mouth for obvious reasons. But yes, very good, great parallel. Yep. Also, the previous match, we're gonna go 2 Druids out of 5, and it only is that high because they did the right thing and let Roxanne win. So we'll bump it near the Mendoza line, but still below.
Yep. Right. So this is where we're at. Joe Gacy was watching Bron Breakkin from security cameras, and then he says it's time to quote unquote end this.
Yeah, and indeed it was.
Main event time and match 8 of the night. Pretty Deadly Kit Wilson and Elton Prince versus Dexter Lumis and Duke Hudson for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Now, I have to question why.
Choice.
Right? I have to question why this match was put as a main event.
Not only this match put as the main event, but what a strange choice for their first title defense. Like a heel and babyface tag team who have never teamed before. I guess you could beat them easily, but man, just so strange. What a weird match to put here.
And I gotta say though, this match wasn't the worst.
No, it was all right. Like, you can see that Pretty Deadly are solid. Dexter Loomis and Duke Hudson probably worse, both in the ring than Pretty Deadly. But yeah, it was all right. 11 minutes, 45 seconds. Felt like they rushed into the ending. It was a little disjointed.
Yeah, Hudson hit Prince with a power slam for a pretty close near fall. Kit Wilson distracted Duke Hudson from the apron, and this gives Elton Prince time to knock out Hudson with a Yakuza kick for the win in 11 minutes. 50 seconds to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like 2 or 3 minutes past the hour. It was like 10:03 Eastern. And all of a sudden, Prince hits a random running big boot, the Yakuza kick, like you said, Boris, and just pins, I believe it was Duke Hudson, clean in the middle of the ring. So, dang, there you go. And yeah, and then immediately I thought, well, they're going off air, and the lights went out, but they did not go off air, Boris. Something else happened.
The lights go out. Joe Gacy appears with spotlights on him as they're at the NXT Crow's Nest. Gacy said he's not hard to find as he held Rick Steiner's Hall of Fame ring. Bron Breakker comes out. He goes to the Crow's Nest. Gacy said he'll give Breakker the ring back if Breakker gives him an NXT title match. Breakker said, "Yeah, got it. Let's go, tough guy." Gacy puts the Hall of Fame ring in Breakker's denim vest pocket. Gacy said now all Breakker has to do is take a leap of faith. Gacy shoves Breakker off the Crow's Nest, and then for some reason, Druids appear. Druids then surround Breakker, opened up their robes. Druids covered Breakker as Breakker screams and is in pain and says stuff, and that's honest to God how we finish the April 19th episode of NXT Stateside.
Yeah. It should have been the April 20th, the 420 episode, because the writers were high when they wrote this. Man, okay, let's talk about all the reasons why this was absolutely idiotic and terrible. For one, okay, so Rick Steiner has been kidnapped and beaten by this man. In storyline, Joe Gacy has said, your dad took his beating like a man. So Bron Breakker casually walks up to this guy, climbs up a ladder to get to the top of a lighthouse to face this guy face to face. He's standing on the ledge, just having a casual conversation with this man. If somebody kidnapped one of my parents and tortured and beat them, and I saw them in the street, I wouldn't have a casual conversation. I might die trying, but obviously I'm going to attack that person and attempt to murder them.
Yeah, depends which parent. Depends which parent.
That's a great call. Yeah, 1 out of 2 parents I would risk my life for in that situation, for sure. I'll let you guess which one, listener. But yeah, man, that's hilarious. But yeah, okay, so let alone like the ring, like he stood up there and had a casual conversation with a man who tortured one of his parents. What a fucking pussy! What an absolute pussy! Also, he was standing on the ledge of a building while doing it. What a fucking idiot! What an absolute pussy fucking idiot Bron Breakker is. Not even getting into Joe Gacy's character, which is fucking irredeemably stupid at this point. Now he has druids, and these druids they circle in on Bron Breakker, whose back might be broken. We don't know how far he fell, but he's sitting there in agony, and the druids close in on Bron and do nothing. They sit there, ooga chaka, one of us, gooble gobble, whatever it is. I think ooga chaka is, I can't stop this feeling. Anyway, my brain has been broken. They have Bron Breakkered my brain. I hate this character. I hate this show. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life anymore. Fuck it all. God damn it. Shit, balls, shit. I'm done. Please continue.
On that note, let's go to the UK. Best transition ever. Honestly, there's nothing I could say to yeah. That's where we're at.
Also, I think the main event was 2.5 druids out of 5. I'm not sure if I said that. Oh, man. At least UK was pretty good. UK was pretty good this week.
Man, can you imagine how our moods would be if Legado went 0-4 and the Bron Breakker stuff happened?
Oh, man. I love that that's the only thing that gets you upset is how Legado does on the show.
Like, dude, I don't have a lot to look forward to in my life right now. So give me some victories with the wrestling group that I think is the best, one of the best things on NXT.
Absolutely. One of the best things on WWE TV every week, full stop, no matter what.
Yep. All right, let's get to NXT UK. Again, pretty good episode. We'll start right off. Gallus' Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey versus Dave Mastiff and Jack Stars.
A pretty solid match. 8 minutes and 30 seconds here. Gallus explodes. That gimmick is continuing. There's lots of infighting between the Gallus brothers. I kind of think that's interesting. The brothers are fighting, and Wolfgang, who is not related, is kind of trying to be the mediator here.
You don't have an older brother or younger brother, do you? You don't have a brother, right?
No, I have two younger sisters.
Yeah. So I can see why brothers fight. Let me tell you, I worked with my brother in a professional setting for a little bit, once as an intern and then as a full-time employee. Let me tell you, our boss, our mutual boss / mutual friend, he said the only reason he hired me was so he can see brother on brother fight.
That's it's got to be against some kind of policy, but I respect it. I respect the power move.
No, like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, and my brother and I would just go at it, especially when he's a developer and I'm running the testing. So there was nothing greater in my life going to my brother and saying, "Your code breaks."
And pop the collar and walk away.
Yeah, basically. Anywho, so I can see why the brothers are fighting, but no, you do bring up a good point, because typically it's the other way around in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I just thought it's like an interesting little twist on the infighting thing that they have a trio with two brothers as part of the trio, and the two brothers are the ones who are probably going to break up. It's a fun twist on it.
Yep. All right, the Coffey brothers were arguing. Mastiff hits a rolling senton on Joe Coffey. Jack Stars hits a powerbomb on Joe Coffey for the win. Dave Mastiff, Jack Stars defeat Gallus in 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, 8 minutes, 32 seconds I have it at. And yeah, solid match. I would go, I don't know, I thought I like where Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff are at, kind of like the underdog tag team, gathering some wins, upsetting some higher ranked teams. If this was AEW, I would go as high as 3.5 for this one. I really enjoyed this match.
Yep. Roderick Strong congratulates Ilya Dragunov on retaining the NXT UK Championship against them. Finn Balor's future partner, Jordan Devlin, interrupts and said Strong had dodged him as he was next in line for a shot at the NXT UK Championship.
Yeah. Jordan Devlin, good bad guy. Roderick Strong came off as a hardcore babyface here. So, of course, the next time you saw him on TV, hardcore heel on NXT 2.0.
Yep. Next week, Sam Gradwell will meet Kenny Williams in a back alley brawl.
I'm excited for that. It seems like it's going to be a cinematic match on location. And Boris, I'm a sucker for a cinematic match. One of my favorite matches of last year was the fight on the farm. The Briscoe brothers explode. I love a good cinematic match, and I have high hopes for this one.
Same. Oh, that match was just incredible, and that was all Papa Briscoe.
Yeah, Papa Briscoe might have been the MVP of that match.
Yep. All right, Mikos. Oh, I hate this thing so much.
You do?
Yeah. Miko Satomura entered the BT Sports studio without her NXT UK Women's Championship. Isla Dawn stole it from her 3 weeks ago. You couldn't get it back in all this time. Come on. Satomura demanded that Dawn meet her in the ring with her title. Isla Dawn arrives clutching the Women's Championship. I did like that touch. Dawn said she was willing to hand the title back to Satomura on the condition that she gets a rematch under her own chaotic rules. Satomura took her title from Dawn and said she could have had a match if she asked. Dawn spat black mist into the face of Satomura and said her ascension would take place in her domain. Her ascension would take place in her domain. One for the people in the back. Her ascension would take place in her domain.
So we're getting Connor and Victor, the return of.
Right?
Yeah, so it does sound like she's gonna get a new specialty match. Sounds like it's gonna be the World of Darkness match. I had that underlined in my notes here. World of Darkness seems to be a term that was circled and underlined. Boris, Isla Dawn spits black mist now. She spit black mist into Mikos Adamor's face. She is MALAKAISLA BLACK.
Dude, thank you so much for saying that, because if you didn't, I was going to. Michaela. I have Michaela Black.
Nice, yeah. Malachi, Isla, it's got to be MALAKAISLA, buddy.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, no, hilarious. She's got the spooky mist. I like this way more than you did. I kind of thought it was cheesy, good fun.
No, look, I don't like the storyline, but I thought this segment was good. I should have clarified that. I thought this segment was good enough, sets up the rematch, and I just don't like the I stole your belt angle.
Yeah, it's the stole belt angle, notwithstanding, I thought this particular segment came across well, but you're right about that. I have no time for that angle either. We will see who is the master of Isla Dawn's domain.
Oh, God.
Had to get that in. Just crossing the T's and dotting the I's, Boris. Let's continue.
Wow. Oh my God. Where do we go? How do we come back from that one? I'm out. All right. We saw the Gallus boys having another argument. Mark Andrews reveals that he and Wild Boar have had a 15-year friendship, and the only time they weren't close was when Eddie Dennis got in his head. Boar screamed that Dennis was the hunted.
Yeah, I like I said, I like Wild Boar, a throwback. This is a fun pairing. Beast and Handler kind of tag team. Let's do it.
Yep. Eliza Alexander with Zia Brookside versus Angel Hayes.
Yes, Zia Brookside, the better version of Tiffany Stratton. Although Tiffany Stratton is more of like more aloof, more like cool above it all. Zia Brookside is more high energy, like spunky, annoying, you know? So they are showing slight differences in their characters, which I do appreciate. You never want to see like 2 or 3 of the same exact person. But yeah, Zia Brookside, far better than Tiffany Stratton at this moment.
Okay, so this match was 3 minutes, 4 seconds. I have it as. Hayes rallied and went for a super kick, but Alexander met her with a massive clothesline. Alexander hit a running knee for the win. Dude, Alexander is a complete heel for me. The crowd loved her. She's tough. She's got spunk. She's got something there. She's mouthy. I like her.
Yeah, I like Eliza Alexander a lot as well. Like you said, very natural heel, kind of like a bruising, talkative heel, Sheamus kind of heel in a way. But yeah, no, I like her work a lot. I kind of like the pairing with Zia Brookside, kind of the muscle, Shawn Michaels Diesel situation, although they're the same height.
Yeah. I really like this a lot. I like this a lot. So how many supernovas would you give this bad boy?
Maybe going to be a little bit of a Grinch on this one. I thought it was average WWE. We're going to go Mendoza line, 2.5 out of 5. Boris, perhaps I'm wrong on that. Perhaps I
pissed in your cereal when you rated this.
Yeah, perhaps I didn't give it enough credit.
Yeah. No, you know what? I can see a 2.5, 3. It wasn't perfect. It was a half decent debut. We got enough of Alexander, but there wasn't anything special.
Yeah, I think that's well put, buddy. I would agree with that.
All right, we get a vignette airing for the NXT UK Tag Team Championship match between Mustache Mountain, Ashton Smith, and Oliver Carter next week. This rivalry will come to a close in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah, and looks like this might be where the Mustache Mountain split happens. Tyler Bate, Trent Seven seems like a natural point for the split to happen. They've been teasing it for a year now,
yep.
Maybe more. So I think it's time.
Yeah, it's time for the mustache to be shaved.
Back out.
Teoman with Charlie Dempsey and Rohan Raja versus A-Kid. Oh,
Great
man.
match.
Great
match.
Man.
Best match we're going to talk about on the podcast tonight. Just a fabulous, fabulous match with an ending that was a little schmozzy, but I thought was good. It came across in a way that helped A-Kid, did not hurt him, helped the match, did not hurt it. I had a lot of time for this one. This was really, really good stuff.
Yeah, so the two were fighting on the apron. Teoman knocks out A-Kid off. Teoman went for the running forearm, but A-Kid moves and he hit his arm on the steel ring steps. A-Kid hit a top rope moonsault to take out all of the D Familia. Teoman dumped A-Kid on the apron and back in the ring. That's when Teoman hit the evil eye for the win in about 11 minutes, 25 seconds.
Yeah, so Teoman with a couple awesome moves. His evil eye, which is basically, if you could picture a Canadian destroyer, it's a front flip pile driver. This is a Scorpion Death Drop destroyer. It's a reverse DDT into the front flip driver. So an incredible, awesome move. I love Teoman's finisher. He also hit this like Kevin Owens style, like, I don't know, like a pump handle neck breaker thing on A-Kid in this match. That was absolutely beautiful. Looked like it killed him. A-Kid's selling is awesome. Next level. Really, like, if you're paying attention to what he's doing, really makes it look like it hurts in a unique way, in a believable way. I love this match. I thought it was great.
Yep. And I thought this match was great. Question for you, Matt. Do you think that this angle is going to end with A-Kid staring at the lights and him moving to the U.S.?
It may have just ended with that. That might have been what we just saw, actually, right here.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking.
That's interesting. Yeah, man. I think you might be onto something. I think you might be right, buddy.
What are they going to call him? B-Kid? C-Kid? Z-Kid? X-Kid? The Kid? 1, 2, 3 Kid?
That's so funny. I don't know who's a famous Spaniard. Just kind of put a twist on his name.
Don Quixote.
Yeah, exactly. Rafael Quixote, combination of Nadal and Don Quixote. He will be Rafael Quixote.
Oh my God! I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that.
But yeah, notwithstanding the absolute ridiculousness of name roulette, I thought this was a very fine episode of WWE-based programming, and the next few NXT shows are going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, man. All right, do you want to run down some cards while we wrap the show up?
Let's do it. So NXT UK, April 21st, that is tomorrow, 2022. Awesome 2-match card. I hope they only do these 2 matches. We have Back Alley Brawl. Kenny Williams versus Sam Gradwell. Should be a cinematic match. And also 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT UK tag team titles. Mustache Mountain's last stand, probably. Trent Seven and Tyler Bate versus Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. Next week on NXT TV, April 26, 2022, Boris, Nathan Frazier in action. We also have Nikita Lyons versus Lash Legend 2 and a mixed trios tag team match. Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs, and your girl, Fallon Henley versus Legado del Fantasma, Electra Lopez, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro. Then we have NXT 2.0 Spring Breakin'. May 3rd, 2022, Cameron Grimes versus Carmelo Hayes versus Solo Sikoa for the NXT North American title, and Bron Breakker versus Joe Gacy, the terribly, terribly booked Bron Breakker versus the absolutely irredeemably stupid Joe Gacy. Let's do it.
What do you think the odds are of Joe Gacy winning?
Well, maybe they want to call Braun up. I don't know. He just incurred a death fall. He just broke his back falling off a light tower. So yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe, perhaps. Stranger things have happened in this NXT 2.0, Brad.
To say the least. All right, everyone knows what's up. Everyone knows what shows are coming, but we're going to play another game of Rampage Roulette to see who's going to be hosting this week. I don't even know, actually. Nice. I think it's actually me, Joe, and Mike. I think we're doing the trios this week.
Nice. You can contend for the trios tag team title. That might actually occur one day in AEW.
Yep, hopefully it does. I know this is NXT talk, but it is Wednesday, and you know what that means. What do you think Tony Khan's announcement is going to be before we go?
New Japan X AEW show in June in a stadium.
Yep, if it's not that, then I believe it is going to be some HBO Max deal or some deal for ROH TV. Regardless, have fun watching some more wrestling. We'll be back at ya. And he's Matt. I'm Boris. Adios.
Yeah.